Hello and welcome to my San Fierro PB with commentary. As the title states, this is a no Blood Bowl, an NBB if you will, run of San Fierro. And we'll talk about all the interesting subtleties that make that possible or easier or better as we go along. First thing to point out is yes, I did use the on mission changer there. If you're not aware, that is allowed because it's RTA. That in a real run you would arrive at that marker with an on mission 0 call from the end of Are You Going to San Fierro? So that's totally allowed.
Great sense of humor. This here's Vietnamese gang territory. Danang boys.
Now I did record this yesterday. I don't really remember much about it other than the fact that I was watching Netflix. I was watching Better Call Saul on my other monitor. So at the beginning of the run, not very focused. Probably made a fair amount of mistakes just to not paying attention. So far, these lines looking clean, looking crisp. I like it. However, I do think I missed this turnaround here, which is a bit cringe. Weird. Weird that I turned left.
Come on, dude. What's all that about?
You don't want to know.
Why?
Do you know what a subdermal neurophone is?
A what?
Exactly. Sometimes it's best to stay in the dark, kid. Dude.
So anyway, into brass tacks here. A lot of people will tell you that early on mission 0... No, not early on mission 0. A lot of people will tell you that on mission 0 Vigilante is not as viable. It's a bit risky in a real run. And while that is true to some extent, you need to understand the reasons why in order to improve your chances. So the reason that San Fierro is not good for on mission 0 Vigilante, or not as good as Los Santos, is because of the fact that the call check cycles are a lot longer or further apart. I'm not sure which is more correct terminology, but you know, in Los Santos it's 90 milliseconds. In San Fierro it's 150? It's 150 or 120. I forget already. But all that being said, that's more frames in between checks. And obviously you need it to be the perfect frame. So the odds are less. However, we haven't taken the Truth's call. We haven't consumed that call. That call is still in queue. That is a Badlands call. It's on a different check cycle than the San Fierro calls. Which means more frames are going to work here. You know, more cycles are going to line up. Oh, I forgot to let go of tab because something interesting was happening in Netflix. I don't know if I already mentioned that. I was watching Netflix on my other monitor. So for that reason, we have to we have to watch a little bit of the cutscene there. Also missed the marker there, but we got it. Oh. Not sure why I chose to take the blade there. The saber was fine. I guess the saber kind of drives like it's on ice, but so does the blade. Anyway, the one big caveat to that makes it not really a run viable strat in some situations is the fact that you are taking a call at the end of this mission in the cutscene to regain control in the cutscene. And you know, you can't really control what call you're taking. You're either taking the Truth's call or a Zero's call. Those are the two calls you have unlocked at this point in time. And in theory, if you think about it, because the Truth's call is a Badlands call, it's on a shorter cycle check. I think mathematically you'd be more likely to take it, but that doesn't seem correct because that's not really the case in practice. At least it doesn't seem that way. But we're hoping to get Zero's call at the end of this mission. And it looks like we're lining up on a nice and clean Fukushima cycle. Very nice.
Be the new boy. Get in. Hey, that's the DA. He's a good tipper.
Take the car.
So we are holding a call right now. It's not really relevant what call we're holding right now because we're going to release it anyway. What really matters is what call we hold when we get out of this car. And again, we're not going to be able to tell what call that is. It's just luck. Now, with all this talk of the call cycles being different, I believe they're divisible by... They're both divisible by 30. So, in theory, they might actually line up sometimes. Because I believe, and this number is not... These numbers aren't correct, but they're, for example, maybe they are, just off of chance, but I believe Badlands is a 120 millisecond cycle and San Fierro is a 150, but again, that just could be totally wrong.
Hello? This we tip? I seen some highly suspicious.
But if you were to take 12 and 15 and keep multiplying, eventually they would line up, right? So
Yeah, what?
Sorry, Carl, are you busy?
maybe that didn't make any sense what I just said,
You're fucking with
but
here? I'll have your badge, you moron.
we just took Zero's call. I'm a little bit out of sorts right now, but we just took Zero's call, as you could hear from the dialogue, which means we still have the Truth's call.
But I've never seen. How could it be? Hell of a defense.
So with that in mind, going forward, whenever we get out of a vehicle, there is a more likely chance that the game happens to be checking that cycle, either a Badlands cycle or a San Fierro cycle, Shigeru's cycle. There's just a better chance because there's two different cycles independent of each other. I hope that makes sense. I hope I explained it well, but I don't know. If I didn't, if you know, you know, you know. But now we are holding the Truth's call, right? Because we've already taken Zeros. Not sure where I was going here, but yeah. Go ahead and start deconstruction. Let go of the call.
What's that?
Hey, Carl, dude. Now I got the little mau you're after. But be careful, man. People are listening to us. I got a little green village up
That looks like such a high shot.
there.
I'm surprised that hit. That looks so high. But yeah, pretty good deconstruction so far, other than the weird drive back. Like, I don't know what I was thinking when I parked that cop car. So I personally don't like to park the cement mixer before blowing up the porta potty, just because I find that the porta potty the cement truck gets in the way. Even if I park it pretty far to the right, I still find sometimes it gets in the way. Maybe it'd be something I could fix if I just adjusted where I put the satchels. Make the porta potty fly a little bit further to the left. Just a little bit. But still, it just seems like it's going to block it a lot. So here is the bread and butter. At this point, we're going to release during the fade. However,
What's that?
I'm not pressing R. I'm trying to switch weapons. I'm also on the lookout for a cop bike, but alas, we don't find one. Getting a cop bike now would be basically the best case scenario, I think, or best case Ontario, because getting one after the date can be a pain in the keister, pardon my French. Getting it after the date can be a problem because you need to lose the wanted star so you can get phone calls to come in. However, save markers act a little bit strange after the date and the date warp. I think it's distance based. I'm pretty sure. You have to be a certain distance away from Katie for save markers to reappear. It'll say progress with Katie goes down. It'll give you a notification of that, and I believe that is based on distance after the date. I think this was my 3rd or 4th attempt. And I hadn't been green here yet, so I was starting to tune in a little bit, starting to get a little more focused. Now, one thing here is because I've completed deconstruction, I could, in theory, take a call right now, and it could be Jethro's. That would be a slight optimization, I suppose. Because you'll see at the end, I have to take 2 calls to start Monster rather than just 1. And it can be dicey taking a call out on the water. Sometimes you just fall through the boat. You know, things happen. I don't go over the grass there because I feel like, well, I'm bad at driving, so I end up not flipping the car, but basically not saving any time by doing it because of the adjustments I have to make. But back to what I was saying.
Well done. Brilliant drive.
Okay, I'm surprised that this run finished after witnessing that. Pretty lucky, I suppose. Kind of a kunky move for that guy to just peel out of the tunnel there. It's a bit annoying. Yeah, pretty good jump there. Kept a lot of momentum. But back to what I was saying. I end up having to take 2 calls to start Monster rather than just 1, which is a bit annoying. But sometimes that's not the case anyway. Sometimes you get the Monster call before you even get the Truth's call. But I had to take the Truth's call and then the Monster call, I believe. Or maybe I took the Truth's call to dupe Torino's last flight. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. But sometimes you never have to take the Truth's call. I've had it happen twice in full RTA situations where I've duped Hijack with the Truth's call, or more recently done a Monster X8 attempt with the Truth's call. So that saves you from having to buy 0, which is kind of nice. However, if you don't get lucky, you just end up having to take a 2nd call before starting Monster, which is what happens here. Although that wouldn't be a real issue if you were doing Monster X8. It would still slow you down, but more like 4 seconds rather than like 10 is what it costs here, I think. Those are just rough estimations, obviously.
This guy take himself real serious.
That's T-Bone Mendez.
What now? Is that it?
Hey, who's the gringo?
Okay,
I don't like the look of that guy. This
did I
guy
miss
is
his face there, or did the
part of
camper
a
block?
serious organization.
I'm not sure. That's kind of insane if the camper just blocked my view. I've actually never had that happen
How many
before.
of these clowns are there?
Ah, I know a pimp when I see one.
Very minuscule time loss,
About this,
but still
it ain't no exchange,
interesting.
nothing incriminating. That was some heavy shit.
We better split up and get out of here. I'll meet you back at the garage, eh?
Coolio, we got what we came for anyway.
So a 1429 photo op. Pretty decent, I believe. Oh, by the way, I was gonna check the timer, whether I started the timer accurately and ended it accurately. I feel like I started the timer maybe a 1/4 second late and ended it a 1/4 second early, but I'm not sure. Definitely want to double check that. Okay, pretty much absolutely kunky traffic. I could have definitely despawned some of that, but even still to this day, it's a little bit uncomfortable for me to flick the mouse while riding a motorcycle. You have to understand that my lean forward button, which is 2, as you can see on my input display, is actually on my mouse, on my right thumb. And it's hard for me to flick and keep tapping that. I guess I should prioritize flicking, getting the traffic out of the way, maybe dropping a tiny bit of speed. That would make much more sense. A little bit of a rough landing there, but we didn't fall off. Bit of a gross line there through the grass. I generally don't go through the grass, but I figured I'd give it a shot there. I think I'm going to start going through the grass, but with a better line. This is super unlucky here. I feel like it's almost never the case where you have a driver and passenger in the first caddy that spawns. It's almost always just a driver. But then again, how common is it for a car to just have a driver on the street? It's like, it's gotta be like 70%. Something like that. But yeah, a little bad RNG there, getting a passenger in the golf cart. Who cares? Actually losing a little bit of time on this split. But we get the dupe off and that's nice. Now, as I mentioned earlier, getting a cop bike after the date is really quite AIDS. So I was looking for one and then I saw one just before I killed myself. So that was kind of lucky. And then saw multiple more. I decided not to try to blow that bike up right in front of the garage. I didn't know if it would damage or even destroy the bikes that were already in the garage. I hate driving the Elegy. So I was trying to go for the ZR, then I was trying to go for the Buffalo, and now we're going for the Buffalo. Strange that that red marker didn't appear. I guess because the phone call was ringing instantly. It's very strange.
Hi, TJ.
Hey, gorgeous.
Hey, Carl, have you eaten yet?
Normally,
That's what you want.
if I'm in a Buffalo, I try to take this jump. Normally it's pretty clean, but I was being extra careful not to trigger the slow-mo. So my speed was all off, and it didn't work out great, but still, we got there pretty quickly.
It was amazing food.
So you can see what I'm talking about there. The save markers are not there yet. Maybe, yeah, you can still see the save markers not there. Progress with Katie down. I'm not sure if that resets your phone call timer, but I just assumed that it does. It seems, I don't really understand that interaction all the way yet. Because sometimes it does reset the call timer and sometimes it doesn't. And, you know, we nail it first try. Just absolute poop gaming. Sponsored by Obama. I don't know what I'm saying right now. I've been watching too much Spoon Kid. Yeah, so 1 for 1 on attempts. And again, I attribute that to the extra call cycle check. Again, I believe it's a 120 millisecond for Badlands and a 150 for SF, but that could be wrong. Yeah, skipping Blood Bowl.
Now just listen.
I believe that was actually my first attempt doing On Missions or Vigilante that day. I don't do any sort of like warm up or anything like that. I know when to release the button. It's just whether or not I can do it. And I feel like actually warming up doesn't help me at all. Not in the slightest. So some people may remember a video on my channel that was kind of theorizing doing a no Blood Bowl route that involved stealing the FCR and driving back to the garage to get to your other cop bike. This involved storing an extra cop bike as well as extra driving. Turns out this is a thing. Of course this is a thing. I remember this being a thing, where whatever vehicle you get off of just spawns right here. Now this has trolled me a ton in the past, so I go super slow because sometimes I'll zoom through there and not get a package. But yeah, there's a video on my channel about going back to the garage at this point on the FCR to get a cop bike, and it's just because a little oversight that I forgot that your vehicle gets set over there. So overall, not the fastest I've ever shot those guys by a long shot, but everything else about this split pretty nice, pretty clean. We're 1 for 1 on missions and vigilante attempts. There, my inputs were wrong, so we're 1 for 2. I think that didn't seem like a first frame call anyway, so. And there we go, 2 for 3. That's very good. Now the thing is, both of those could have been on the Badlands cycle. I have no idea. Or neither of them could have been, and this is all just a facade. They were both SF cycles, who knows? But that's going to save a ton of time on this Outrider split. Kind of forgetting my inputs there.
Jizzy, what's going on?
Now, in theory, in a real run, I would want to get on the Sanchez there, but I don't really care for a segment run. Because I'd want to save the cop bike for 0 star later on. That was a pretty quick dismount. And we get a ZR. It's pretty nice. I think the best vehicle to get here would actually be a cop bike. Maybe an FCR, but I think cop bike actually would be better. Just for the fact that then you would have a star that you're not getting rid of. Meaning that you can easily start Outrider a second time without having to worry about a call in your way preventing you from starting the mission. However, again, with luck of call cycles, maybe you don't get an instant call cycle, and you can just start it without having to cancel a call. That's what we're hoping for here. I don't really remember if I got that. Oh, sick, I did. So, now lucky with call cycles 3 times. Twice for on-missions or vigilante setups. And once for not blocking me to start Outrider. It's pretty nice. Now, there's not going to be a lot of variance on your time of day here because you saved and death warped a set number of times at this point. However, I almost feel like saving before starting your second instance of Outrider might be a good idea because traffic here can be absolutely abysmal, especially while you're pushing the bike. If your bike gets stuck in the intersection on the hill, one of the two intersections, you can really get screwed over. Also, that's really strange that the bike is already facing like north-south. Not sure that I've ever seen that. Don't know why it happened, but it was nice because it made it very easy to separate the two bikes. However, now it's facing kind of more east-west, so I'm going to try to push it on foot. Get it a little bit of a better lineup. Good angle there over the grass to keep it nice. Now right here, this intersection right here can be abysmal if you get bad traffic. If you get cars coming from your right that are turning left, luckily they both went straight. They can just sit there blocking your way. So that's a bit of good luck that they went straight. Now for this replay, I use the rocket launcher. Visual setup. When the rocket launcher goes away, I try to play replay immediately. For some reason, I'm on the wrong weapon there. Struggling to find rockets to kill myself. I try to shoot the wall there so I don't blast myself into the air so I can shoot the second rocket faster. I don't really know if that's super, okay. Just blindly shot that moving gas tank. So here we're getting 2 stars because you want to demand a cop bike for Pier 69. You want to absolutely demand it. And now, obviously, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, starting and stopping Vigilante is going to mean that your tires are bulletproof. Now, I'm sure a lot of us remember using an NRG for this mission. And, of course, people still do for other categories. And, yeah, you get a pop tire here sometimes. And it's absolutely painful. So we start and stop Vigilante. There I jump off rather than falling off, I guess. Go out on my own terms. And yeah, take another cop bike, I guess. Again, start and stop Vigilante. Get the bulletproof tires. Wow. So I lost like 30 seconds in this split just to bad driving, pretty much. Bad driving and bad RNG, but let's be honest, it's bad driving. So at this point, I'm 2.5 minutes ahead on a couple of strong golds. Obviously, feeling the pressure a little bit, but you know me, you know how I do it. Me with the sniper rifle, I go crazy, man. Clutch up. Make sure we zoom in all the way and wait half a second before shooting. Not sure how that shot landed. That was awful. But yeah, 6 for 6. Absolute gamer. So we already discussed the first reason of taking a cop bike for this mission, to make sure you don't get a tire popped. But also because now we can try on Mission 0 Vigilante on the way back to the garage to start TLF. And that's exactly what I will do. So far we are 2 for 3 on setup attempts. Did I get this first try? I don't remember. No. I think that was an early release. I tend to miss them early rather than late most of the time. Although the other one I think I released late. I'm not sure. Alright, 3 for 5. I mean, you're not going to do better than 3 for 5, I think, most of the time. But who knows? If I had perfect inputs all 3 times, maybe I would have gone 3 for 3. I don't know. You just never know. Could have been off cycle. Now there is a strat here. I should immediately, once it starts fading, be smashing R. Because sometimes you'll get right on the bike. But I just forget to do it every time. But there we go. TLF duped. I don't know what call I used. We'll find out here in a second. Whether it was the truth or the final SF call. I think it was the truth. Oh my goodness. Wow, I lost a lot of time in this run to just falling off bikes and bad driving. Here I'm making sure, I could have just ran from that point, but I want to make sure that I have this cop bike that I already own according to the game. Because I don't want to get a star and not be able to take calls and finish the run. I don't know how to do the early rocket. I was just kind of guessing there, and then that lineup was pretty off too. Normally you would go for rockets and AK, but I'm trying to grind this out, man. I'm 3 minutes 44 ahead. Like, let's go. Okay, so I did take the truth's call to dupe this mission. Alright. So now we are taking the driving school call, right? Yeah. Which is interesting because I believe that call is available as soon as you finish deconstruction. Yeah, it definitely is. So I guess you could woozy and driving school call at the same time. But now, so I gotta stop, take another call to start 0. Or to start monster. And that's kind of terrifying because you can just fall through the boat, you can go flying. You know, things can go wrong there. But we got it off. And I think I'm gonna stop my timer a half second too early. We'll find out. Played a replay, which was not necessary either. No, that looks like perfect timing. Anyway, that was it. Sub 32 obviously possible. With a little bit better driving. Maybe better RNG, but let's be honest. Better driving. Better ingredients, Papa John's. That being said, GG.